All right. Hey, okay, so we were talking about check brain at the door syndrome
Yep.
and
Learned
helplessness. So check brain at the door. So here comes the consultant. It's change management time. We want to fix this, and they say this. We can't do that because this is the. It's
just the way we do stuff.
Right. I call it the American and the American. I don't know how that would translate to the Australian, but it's the can do or the can't do. You know. But there's so much what we can't do, and I always love when somebody says that. I say, so okay, or we have to do it this way. We have to. I'm like, well, if we didn't do it that way, what would happen? The zombie apocalypse? I mean, if we didn't, what would happen? So. You guys face the same stuff, man.
Exactly the same stuff. And whether it's a new product going out, whether it's a change in technology, whether it's somebody just saying, can we do this quicker? And the thing that gets me is every single one of our staff is a customer. And every single one of them knows that if their deal comes through their team, it's one of their colleagues that's going to be handling it. And you talk to them about how long does this take? Oh, we could do it quicker, but no one wants to change. Oh, we could do it quicker if the technology was better. And there's all these excuses.
Excuses, that's all it is, yeah.
And the things that they come up with, with technology in 2015, I started banking in 1986. Now, we were decentralized. Everything was done in a branch. Everything was done manually. And we got stuff turned out quicker. And when I throw people these examples in my career, they're talking about, we can take a loan application and turn it around in 10 days. And it's like, well, when we used to do it manually with tougher credit rules and tougher oversight from the government, we could do it in 24 hours and document it and have the customer signed up. And then, if the customer wanted, we could attend the settlement for that property purchase on Friday. Not book it in 30 days' time.
Wow.
We could do it Friday. If you're ready, so are we. And I was brought up with, in that environment, and our bank's been through so much change. And then with the centralisation, something happened where people started putting more processes in. There was some stuff that was just done. It was done unconsciously because it's the right thing to do. Someone said, we've got to document that. And that became holy writ, and that's the way we will always do it. And we can't change that because that's just the way we do stuff around here. And as a consultant coming in, whether I'm internal or whether we get somebody externally, look, you just need to understand how we work, because what you're proposing, that's just not
so there's just a total resistance to any kind of
total
change.
Resistance. 2011, we had that biggest flood in Australia. We had so many customers that were affected. And we had so many businesses, farms, our agribusiness, our commercial business, every segment of our customer base was touched in some way. We had people that lived in Melbourne that were nowhere near the floods, but they had investment properties up in Queensland that were affected by those floods, or investment properties in New South Wales affected. Everyone was affected. We went out to our operational teams and we said, we've got to do some things differently. If we're looking at refinances for business loans, if we're looking at changing of leasing arrangements for some of our farming communities, if we're looking at how we do insurance, we threw it out to the teams and said, what can we do? Think about it if you're in your own, if that was you, what would you want done? I want it done really quick. I want it done in 24 hours. I want it done on a phone call. I don't want to fill out paperwork. And it's stupid anyway, because some of our branches are still closed and our customers have still got 200 kilometres of flood water around them.
Wow.
So how are we going to do this?
Wow, 200 kilometres of flood water.
And these operations teams, these very same people that we can't do it because that's just the way things are done, they rallied together and they put these changes through. And at the end of 60 days, when the crisis was declared over, the government had stopped their assistance, we'd shut down our command team and we'd put some other packages in play and they were there. These guys went back to the way we've always done stuff.
So it was okay while the crisis is on.
Yeah.
Because we have to do something.
Yep.
But as soon as we don't, we fall back to our comfort zone of
we go straight back to where it's comfortable.
Right. And that kind of goes into that learned helplessness too, because they're comfortable being.
I want to go back. I'll do it for a short period, but I want to go back to where I was really comfortable.
Right.
I know it's more painful, but I want to go back there.
More painful for the customer, but not for you as the employee. The employee, right?
Yeah, and it's the challenge there was to get these guys to say, you did it for 60 days. It only takes 20 days to form a new habit.
Yeah, my theory is it only takes 1 day, because, if you do training, right? And if you do a 2-day training, where does everybody sit the second day?
Well, they're already up the curve.
They're staying in the same seat that they were the day one. They're there. I mean, by day 2, they've already formed the habit. That's their seat, and don't let somebody sit in that seat.
That's my seat.
Don't park in your, someone else, that parking spot at work. Yeah, they got your name on it.
That's my spot.
And then the big one is like, don't let somebody sit in your chair at church, because then they really flip out.
And this was the thing. They'd done this for 60 days, and they just went straight back to where they were comfortable. And for me, that mark personally, it's not what I do when people are watching. It's what I do when no one's watching. And now we've got these people that no one was watching anymore, and they went straight back to what was comfortable. And this was the thing in a number of different crises we faced. We've actually taken the opportunity. We've rejigged the process. We've changed credit policy. We've changed anti-money laundering processes, because we've found there's something either spectacularly wrong or spectacularly right. And sometimes in a crisis, you actually find out what you're doing really well.
Right, and that is that's a good thing too, right?
Yeah, to be able to acknowledge people that, hey guys, you're actually doing a great job, and you're doing more than people ever expected. And to be able to say, how can we do more of that, and how can we help you? It's fantastic stuff. It's just so fantastic.
That's fantastic, is right. Now let's talk about this helplessness thing.
Yeah.
Now you call it learned
helplessness.
And I want to get this in before the end of the hour.
Yeah.
The hour's just flown by. But
so
learned helplessness.
the short version is I picked up the phrase, and it was a piece of reading. I can't remember where the research was done, but it was a bunch of researchers that put dogs in cages, and they would open the cage door. The cage door was open, and they'd shock the cage, and the dogs would run out. And then they would put the dogs back in, they'd close the cage doors, and they'd shock them, and the dogs would try and get out. And they'd continue to shock. And after a certain time, the dogs would just lie down and accept it. I know the shock's coming every 7 seconds. I'm staying here. There's nothing I can do. I can't get out. Then the researchers opened the door, and the shocks continued. And the dog looked at the open door, and it's like,
why bother?
Why bother?
So the dog, even though they had a way out, they just sat there and just kept taking it.
They were helpless. They had learned to be helpless. And even when a different path was open to them, the door had been open, here's the opportunity to get away from this. No, I'll stay. And that was a bit of a revelation for me. There was some people I was having trouble dealing with, and they're just with their thinking on, there's a better way forward. There's a better way. Let me show you the better way. And the resistance to this thing of no. So it was one of those snippets of information that came my way that really hit home. And talking to leaders around it in those sort of businesses, saying, I think you've got a bit of learned helplessness. Oh, my people aren't helpless. Well, here's the research article, and here's what I'm seeing.
So now that's conditioned, so it's almost like the leadership has trained them to be helpless, because we've taken the innovation and the creative thinking right out of them, and we've trained them that they get beat down if they do think that way.
And the way we've trained them as well is, when they do the job they've always done, the way they've always done it, they get rewarded for it. Because they hit the metrics, they hit that performance level, they get
the reward.
They're paid, or they get a bonus, or whatever.
Right.
The metrics may well be wrong, but we continue to condition them by using those metrics, and we reward them for what they've always done. We're not rewarding them for innovation.
We're not rewarding them for innovation. This is a problem that's worldwide, and this is this kind of thing. Now, you're like an internal consultant. I'm an external consultant, but it's so funny after 31 years.
We're in the same business.
We're in the same business, and then we're fighting to help companies get out of their own way and be innovative and have creative problem solving and critical thinking and emotional intelligence and wrap it together. And that's what I call mental toughness, and you call it crisis management. And it's just there's a huge need for it out there, isn't there?
Absolutely. There's so many people that do not fulfill their potential simply because they choose to say, no, I can see the opportunity, but that's not for me. The pathway's open. Sometimes the pathway is clear. I get really frustrated when people that we work with look at Bridget and I, and we work a 60-hour week. Yeah, we've gone through the company. Yeah, we get good bonuses. We work hard. Yes, we've got a nice house. Yes, we can afford to have Bridget's mum live upstairs with us. We can afford to take our whole family on a holiday. That's not luck. That's hard work.
Right.
That's being there. It's taking opportunities.
And you're solving big problems.
And solving the big problems.
Give me your hardest problem. And both of you have had a career of pockmarked with give me the hardest problem and I'll fix it.
Yeah.
All right, so we are out of time for the hour. Now, listen, we're going to stay on and keep doing this for the podcast and the YouTube, but the radio audience has to go. Will you hang on?
Absolutely.
All right, thanks. We'll be right back. Wow, what a great time to sit down with Craig Moroz. It was just I'm sitting here. This is really the first time that I've listened to the interview, and I'm scratching out notes. I've got pages of notes right here. The big takeaways, he said it wasn't luck. It's hard work, solving problems, not luck. It's not luck that you are successful. It's not luck that a business or a bank becomes number one. It's not luck that your business is not just average. It's not luck. And then the three takeaways I took out of that was when you're coming into crisis management or stress management or stress control and the problem solving, the first thing you do is cut out the emotion, get to the facts, and then have an empathetic response. Think about what you respond, how it's going to affect other people. And that's just and he said this one interesting thing, Lee, that just kind of blew my mind, and it nailed it so tight that leaders in business just want the noise to stop. They don't really want to fix the problem. Just make the noise stop. Make the pain go away. We're not trying to. We would rather put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole as long as I can, make it go away. It's just amazing that even over there, on the other side of the planet, they have the same exact problems that we have over here.
It's basically quit distracting me from my focus.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear the problem. I don't want to hear the noise. And I find this in corporation all the time. That people, they don't really want to know. It's not a problem until the fire's big enough, and we won't address it until the fire's big enough. You Barney Fife stuff and nip it, and stop the bleeding, start the breathing, then you treat for shock. Companies just want to treat for shock after the thing has already happened. And instead of taking a long view, it's just they can't get up and get the 50,000-foot view. They're down in the weeds. It's just covered in smoke, and we don't put out a fire until it's about to burn us.
And that's not just corporations. That's people in general.
That's people in general, and that's what we do with mental toughness. And if if you're individually coming across that, go to getwarriortough.com, get Mental Toughness 101. Download the audio, work through the workbook, and give me a call, and I'll coach you through it. If you're a business, give me a call at the office at 864-977-1772, and we'll have the discussion. Don't wait until the fire is raging out of control. And this is what happens. People call me in really after the fact, and it's almost too late. That's the only time that they'll call is when it's almost too late.
Well, it's like we talked about the golf swing, and that's the one we replayed last week. Don't get those bad habits entrenched in your life to where you can't change them, where they're hard to change. Learn it right from the beginning or change it before it's too late. Absolutely. And Drew and I were talking about that this week, and we have got to go. But he said he doesn't use the word practice anymore. He uses the word training because let's just like you said, you practice, and it's bad practice, and you got a bad habit. So training is I'm always trying to improve. Now, listen, right before we go, I want to let everybody know there's another half hour of that interview with Craig. It will be on the YouTube channel, and I will put that on the end of the podcast. So the podcast will be like an hour and a half. So if you missed that, that's bonus content for people that subscribe to the YouTube channel, or they go to the getwarriortough.com page and get the podcasts. And that's all the time we've got. Lee, I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, go to getwarriortough.com, and we're there for you.